Voice 101, Module 4, Learning with Dr. B. This is our module on vocal health, things to be aware of and potential vocal hazards, along with some wellness tips. In order to not abuse your voice, you need to think about vocal credits. So let's say that vocal credits are like money and that you get $100 every morning you wake up. You are handed $100 in $1 bills, and you are to take those bills for the rest of the day and hand them out as you speak, sing, scream, hopefully not scream, whisper, cough. All the things that you do with your vocal folds are now given a monetary value. So you start out your day and you head to school. When you practice for an hour, maybe you've practiced before you go to school, you have already spent 25 of your dollars. When you work in a loud environment, say a restaurant, or maybe you go to a baseball game and you work at the snack bar, you have to raise your voice over the game or to talk over the noise. You spend $15 for every hour that you do that. When you yell or scream at a game, concert, or just for fun, then you spend $20 of your credits for every hour. When you whisper, you spend $20. This is terrible for your voice. Whispering is not a good choice. When you clear your voice, you spend $5. When you sing in the car or with the radio, you spend $20 every half hour. When you talk on the phone, you spend $15 for every hour. When you talk as your job, say teaching or presenting, you spend $15 for every hour. Every time you use your voice, you have to spend the money. Every time you use Vocal Fry, which you'll hear more about later, you spend $5 of your vocal credits. So how many vocal credits do you think you spend in a day? When you've spent all of your vocal credits, then you need to balance your day with silence or vocal rest. And remember, whispering is not vocal rest. Save your voice. Be sure you're not holding on to the air as you speak. Breathe between phrases. Don't use the dreaded Britney Spears, Kim Kardashian vocal fry. It destroys your voice and, frankly, my ears. Don't know what vocal fry is? You will. If you are hoarse, stop talking, singing, or phonating, and by all means do not whisper. And here's why. Whispering causes the vocal folds to dry out and can make the hoarseness prolonged, and can also begin to cause tiny little blisters on the vocal folds. Watch out for symptoms of acid reflux disease. Think that disease is only with your grandma? Think again. It's very prevalent in ages 17 to 25. Some of the symptoms are heartburn, wet burps, rough voice in the morning, hard to warm up the voice, or a burning sensation in the throat are all signs of what is also known as GERD. See a doctor right away if you're experiencing any of these symptoms. Do not continue to sing if you experience discomfort of any kind. Go directly to your primary physician. And here's the other one. Don't smoke anything. That's right, anything. Any smoke causes inflammation and irreversible damage to the vocal cords and lungs. Vaping may seem harmless, but it is also not good for the folds, respiratory function, or cardiovascular system. Smoke of any kind introduced into your mouth is a bad idea. Use a humidifier to keep your mouth and nose from drying out, especially at night if you breathe through your mouth. Ask your doctor and pharmacist to recommend singer-friendly medications, especially cold or allergy medicines, as they are mostly drying. Eliminate habitual throat clearing. When you clear your voice, you are slamming the vocal folds together. This also can cause chronic inflammation. Drink water, swallow hard, or try a lozenge. Speaking of water, try to stay hydrated. Stay away from alcohol and caffeine when you know you need to sing. If you have laryngitis, do not try to force the voice to work. Be quiet. Use paper and pencil. The more you try to talk, the more apt you are to damage the voice. You get one voice. Okay, so this is our next module on vocal health. And you may ask, why do we need to talk about vocal health? Well, because you're in a singing class, and if you experience any kind of hoarseness or sore throat or anything like that, I want you to be very aware of why that might be. Or while you're taking this course, you might discover that you catch a cold or an upper respiratory infection and you need to turn things in, you need to sing and upload that, and you might not be singing at your best, and I want to help you know how to get through that. So let's talk about how we use our voice normally throughout the day. I tell my singers, you get so many vocal credits a day. And what I mean by that is, let's say somebody pays you some money. They say, and it's in the way of your speech. Here you go. You've got $100 in how you use your voice, and you need to spend that wisely. So if I have 100 vocal credits every day, I have to think about how I'm going to spend them. And if I overspend those vocal credits, then I am much more likely to get something like chronic hoarseness or perhaps even vocal polyps or vocal nodes. And I do not want that to happen. You get one voice. It's not like an oboe where if the reed breaks, I can go out and buy another reed. I have one set of vocal folds, and having to have surgery on them or having to have something done to one of them means that my vocal life is going to be shortened. So I want to be sure that I really take care of my instrument. And so somebody gives me 100 vocal credits. Then I know that when I practice for an hour, I've spent $25 of those. So if I practice for 1 hour and I've spent $25, then now I know I have about $75 left, and how am I going to spend that? So if I work in a loud environment and I'm having to talk over noise, let's say in a bar or a restaurant, or even if I'm maybe a school teacher, something like that, I get $15 vocal credit for every hour I'm at work. Well, if I work 8 hours, I'm done. I should be quiet after I get home. Or if I've worked 4 or 5 hours, then I know I don't have a lot of vocal credits. And if you are working in a restaurant or a bar and you're discovering that you're hoarse the next day, this would be why. So you need to think about how you're using your voice in that kind of an environment. If you yell or scream at a ball game or a concert, or you just like to scream, you might spend $20 for every half hour you do that. It's really, really hard on the voice. When you whisper, it's for, say, an hour. Let's say that you think you have laryngitis, where you feel like your voice is hoarse and you think whispering is going to help you. Actually, whispering is very detrimental to the voice, and for every hour you do that, it's $20. So don't whisper. Don't spend your day whispering to try to save your voice. You're actually doing the opposite. So be very careful about how much time you spend whispering. When you clear your voice, which I've done a lot today in an effort to have a clear speaking voice for this project, and it's because I've been suffering from a cold for about 10 days. But it's really easy, especially if you live in the Toledo area, to have chronic allergy problems and to feel like you need to clear your throat a lot. Or if you have something that's called GERD or acid reflux, you may feel like you need to constantly clear your voice. Doing that a lot, super hard on the voice, and you'll see that there's a video a little bit later of somebody being scoped and being looked at by a doctor, and they're clearing their voice, and you can see those vocal folds slamming against each other every time she does that. And it's super hard on the voice, and it's not something you want to do, but people get in the habit of it. They get in the habit of it when they sing because they think it's going to help them have a clearer tone. But in actuality, it's not going to help you have a clearer tone. It's going to cause most likely some edema or some swelling in the vocal folds, which then will make you feel like you need to clear them, and then you'll clear them, and it's just a terrible vicious cycle to be in. So you want to be sure that if you do feel like you need to clear them a lot, to address why that might be. If you need to be on allergy medicine, then talk about that with your doctor. Or if you feel like you might be having that more so in the mornings, it's possible you could have acid reflux. And you might say, oh, I don't have acid reflux, my grandma has acid reflux, or my mom has acid reflux. I'm young, I don't have that. Actually, it's a very high incidence of it in college students. And the reason is because of your poor eating habits. You eat late at night, you eat pizza, drink beer or wine, or maybe you don't at all, maybe you drink pop, or you live on coffee because you're trying to stay up and study. All of those things cause and can cause acid reflux disease, and you do not want that to go unchecked. So you need to think about why you are feeling the need to clear the throat. If you sing in the car with your radio, and I know you do, so don't deny it, it's at least $20 for every hour that you do that. So if you're a commuter, that's really hard on the voice. When you talk on the phone, that's $15 for every hour. When you talk on your job, or you're just teaching, or today presenting, every hour I'm doing this, I'm spending 15 of my vocal credits. So I know that I need to be a little more cognizant of how I'm using my voice. Once this is over, I should stop talking for a while. Every time that you use Vocal Fry, you spend $5 of your credit, not per hour, but every time you use it. And so let's talk about Vocal Fry. There's a video here, and it's meant to be funny, that a link that I have that's on Vocal Fry, and it's a commentary by a comedian who's really funny, and it is funny, except it's not. And Vocal Fry is when someone talks down here in this, and there's this popping, and certain age group is really, really bad about it, millennials. And even actually some older folks that have this habit of talking down here and being in this part of their voice. And the more that you do that, it is really, really detrimental on the voice. So you do not want to use Vocal Fry. You don't want to use it when you sing either. So when you hear pop singers go, and then begin to sing, they've used Vocal Fry, and then they begin to sing in the right pitch. It's really hard on the voice over long periods of time, and it's hard on my ears. I can't take it. So don't do it. It's a terrible habit to be in vocally, and there's some links to reasons why you shouldn't do it that's on here, so be sure you look at those. So how many vocal credits do you think you spend in a day? Take a quick tally, or take a notebook with you, say tomorrow, and count how much time you spend. Make a little log of how much time. I'm going to bet you're finding that you're spending way over those 100 credits. And then you're wondering why you feel dried out, why you feel the need to cough a lot, or why you feel the need to clear your throat, or why you are experiencing some hoarseness or some inability to feel like you're singing cleanly and clearly and with good tone sometimes. And it could be because the vocal folds are tired and they need rest just like the remainder of your body. So you have to think about the singing that you do as being an athletic kind of activity. It requires the whole body, and it requires a lot of thought about health and training and the physicality of what you're doing if you're singing and you're using your body as an instrument. Breath is just as important in speech. Be sure you're paying attention to how much you breathe. Be sure that you don't talk while holding your breath and talking for a very long period of time, and then feeling the body collapse as you talk, and then take a breath, and then you begin to feel that collapse. I see this all the time. I see it a lot in presenters. I see it in teachers, and I hear it in my students so often. They feel the need to talk really fast and really long and don't take the time to take a good breath and just talk at a normal rate. It's easier for me because I'm from the South. So we talk slower at a very different pace than folks up north. And we take a little more time with our breath. But if you're one of those people that's a really fast talker, you may find that you're putting really a lot of stress on the voice by doing that. You don't want to use that Britney Spears or Kim Kardashian kind of way to talk. It destroys the voice over a period of time to talk like this for a long time. Like I said, with that vocal fry, be sure you're taking good breath. Watch those YouTubes. And if you're hoarse, think about why you're hoarse. Is it because you just got through practicing? If so, you may be doing something incorrect about your practicing. You may want to write me a little bit of an email so that I can help you figure out what the hoarseness would be. And then remember, do not whisper. Okay, so some things that would be maybe common sense to you to think about singing. But if you're trying to be a singer and you're trying to use your body as an instrument, please don't smoke. Don't smoke anything. There are all kinds of ways to do other things than smoke, right? Don't introduce that into the body. It is damaging, very damaging to the vocal folds. And you'll find this on a YouTube link that I've put up where you can see a smoker's vocal folds as opposed to somebody who doesn't smoke. And it is really awful. Eliminate that habitual throat clearing as we talked about. Watch out, though, when you feel the need to clear the throat a lot. You'll want to drink a lot of water. Try to drink as much, stay hydrated. But there's this, a little bit of a myth about throat lozenges. That if you take a throat lozenge, it will help. It depends on the lozenge. And if you are having a lozenge that has a lot of alcohol or menthol in it, it's actually very drying. And you don't want to take that. Take something that has like just a natural lemon and honey kind of lozenge. Something without menthol in it is the best that you can do. There's also something called throat coat that you could try, and it's got slippery elm in it, and it's a very hydrating and lubricating feel when you take it. There's tea for it. Tea is great as long as it's not caffeinated. If it's an herbal tea and you want to use some honey with that, and having something warm makes you feel better in your throat, then that's great. You can do that. Things like oh gosh, it just left me. But it's the little tablets that you put in water and they dissolve, and they give you some vitamin C. Emergency, thank you. Emergency, that really helps too with the voice. If you're trying to stay hydrated and you know you need to sing, you want to stay away from alcohol and caffeine in general because both are very, very drying. Also spicy foods, things like that. Watching those vocal credits. If it's the middle of winter and you feel particularly dry, getting a humidifier is very helpful. Using one of those personal humidifiers is also very helpful. You can buy a humidifier that comes over your nose and you can breathe that in. Taking warm, little prolonged showers is also beneficial when it's in the middle of the winter and the heater's running all the time and you feel dry in your nose and in your mouth. Always tell your doctor and your pharmacist that you're a singer and you want to be sure that whatever medication you might be taking, say if you get the cold or flu, whatever medication you're taking is voice friendly. You don't want something that has what we call the letter D in it, especially allergy medicine, because that decongestant can make you very dried out. If you do get laryngitis, be sure that you don't force the voice to work. That's your body's way, your instrument's way of saying the vocal folds are too swollen, they're not going to work right now, and you need to shut up. You need to use a pencil and paper. You need to not force me to work, because if you force me to work, this is a warning system. I'm warning you right now that my voice is in deep trouble. So try not to force the voice anytime you feel like you have some kind of laryngitis or hoarseness. Just go on what we call vocal rest until you feel like you can use the voice at a little more optimal way. And go see a doctor, always. If you feel like you might have symptoms of acid reflux, so heartburn, lots of heartburn, wet burps, acidy kinds of sour burps, a rough voice in the morning, hard to warm up the voice, you feel like you can't quite warm it up, it takes longer, a burning sensation in the throat. Also, when you wake up in the morning feeling like you need to clear your voice a lot, and then by the time you have a little food and drink, it kind of goes away, that's all signs of having acid reflux at night. So you'll want to definitely talk to a doctor about that, because that can be really detrimental if you go with it unchecked for a long period of time. It can do some permanent damage to the vocal folds. So be sure that you see a doctor if you think you're continuing to have that problem. But if you have any discomfort or uncomfortableness while you sing here, stop it. Email me directly and have the conversation with me if something is hurting, or when I'm done singing, I'm hoarse. Be sure you have that conversation with me so that we can talk about maybe what you're doing, and we can do some kind of live video chat so I can hear you and know what's happening with your voice. Like I said, you have one, so let's keep a healthy voice going during this class. I have some links there for some common health and vocal health conditions like GERD, vocal nodes, and what smoking will do to the vocal folds. So things that will help your voice: stay hydrated, don't smoke or drink when you know you need to sing. Most people are going to have a beer or a glass of wine or something like that occasionally. But if you know you need to sing tomorrow, or you know you need to sing in a few hours, laying off the alcohol is a really good idea. If you are, like I am, stopped up or fighting a cold, one of the things that you can go buy is a thing called Sinurinse or Neti Pot, and using those saline solutions is really, really beneficial. Using those cough drops that don't have menthol, gargling with salt. Also, gargling with something like Listerine is really helpful, because it is an antibacterial. So it can really help keep the cold possibility of having a cold down a little bit during cold season. So be careful about how you spend your vocal credits. You really want to think every day, how am I using my voice, and is this going to be detrimental to my instrument? So watch those links and be prepared to take a quiz over this information. Thank you.
Okay.